All right, I know everyone's going to be anxious to ask questions about Josh. Certainly respect you guys. All have a job to do. So I'll give you what I've got on Josh is he's day-to-day, and the next question will be, is he going to play? And the answer is we'll see. So based on the medical report that we have, Josh is day-to-day. And in terms of other injuries, Tremaine Edmonds will not practice today, nor will Jordan Poyer. Both are day-to-day. Greg Rousseau, as I said the other day, will also not practice. He remains week to week. And then Trey White, also another one I know you guys will ask about his status. He is day-to-day, and whether he'll play or not this week is the same in terms of we'll see. So we'll see how his week goes. So with that, I'll turn it over to you. Just ask that you respect the situation around Josh and the job that I have to do as well. I'd appreciate that and what we're trying to get done as a team here. So with that, time's yours.
Why don't we go ahead and try and see where we can go with that. What can you tell us about the medical report that you got, and what's the level of risk? You're probably figuring that out right now, but I mean the risk of injuring that further or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there, Adam. I'm not going to get in the medical report. Should have said that to begin with. I'm not answering any more questions about Josh, his status, medical report. I'm not a doctor to begin with. So he is day-to-day. Is he going to play? We'll see. We'll take it one day at a time.
Is that based on how much pain he can deal with and how he can execute throws or whatever?
He's day-to-day. We'll see. We will
Today,
see.
will he be limited?
Give me 1 second. Let me answer his question fully, please. We will see how he does. We use common sense, and obviously we factor a lot of things into it, medical report being one of them, and our doctor's wisdom and knowledge. So thanks, Adam. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, will he be out there today? Might he practice limited or probably not practice today at all?
He will not practice today.
Sean, as far as crafting a game plan, obviously, it's a different skill set with Case Keenum. How much, if Case has to play, how much of a challenge will that be for Ken Dorsey to figure out a game plan to all of a sudden thrust him into action?
Yeah, this is not Case's first day with us, nor is it this process new to Case in terms of his role or potential role. So he's been through this before. We have full confidence in Case and Matt Barkley, and we shape a game plan accordingly based on what we know right now.
Hey, Sean.
Hi, Josh.
Has Josh tried to or even attempted to throw a football at all since Sunday?
Josh is day-to-day. I appreciate that, Josh. Good try. But that's candy right there, Josh. That's candy.
How much, you talked about his competitive spirit and saying you wouldn't count him out. How much does Josh want to play and play through this?
Like I said the other day, I think it was, Monday, when I last spoke to you guys. I mean, you guys know Josh, right? I mean, he's as competitive as there is. He loves to play the game, and, we'll see where it goes.
Sean, can you give us an insight how the communication works between you and the medical staff and Josh and the training staff throughout the whole process, and just how you get updated every day on him?
Yeah, I mean, normally, just generally speaking, Sal, and to everyone in here, just the education piece of it is Mondays after a game, usually Sunday, at some point I'll get a quick update, and then giving the docs their time to evaluate, go through their process. And sometimes things change between Sunday and Monday a little bit naturally there with more time for the docs, and sometimes injuries get smaller or get bigger, within that 24, 48-hour window. So, again, generally, and then we just update from there. We'll update Monday, and then usually every day after Monday, and just the communication piece is important, right? With the player to the docs to the player, the docs to us with the player. I mean, no different in this case with Josh than any other injury from the standpoint of just the process,
Has he been sent anywhere to get, I mean, the team obviously has its evaluation. Has he sought a second opinion, or has he been sent somewhere to get a specialist opinion?
Yeah, so I respect your question. I don't think it's fair for me to get into all that in the weeds on second opinions and whether that's been sought out or not. But in fairness to Josh in the situation.
How much
Sorry.
does it change the offense if Case is in there? Like, how did his skill set differ from Josh? Like, how do you see that difference between the two of them?
Well, I mean, I just think there's things that Josh does well, and there's things that Case does well, and some of that's overlap, and you know, you have your system, and you know, again, without it getting too far down that road and into potential strategy areas, we believe in Case Keenum. He's here for a reason. He's been a great addition to our team in more ways than one, and like anybody else, if and when your number is called, it's time to step up.
And when you said, you know, Josh, we talked a lot about Josh and how competitive he is and how he wants to play. How much of the element of this is you and the training staff having to stop him from, like, obviously he'll want to be out there, but stop him from injuring himself further, like, be there to be like, you have to be that other side of it if he wants to be out there playing naturally.
Well, with any player, and we look at everything, and health and safety and health and well-being of our players is top priority, number one, before they go back out on that field. And that's my responsibility as a coach and our training staff's responsibility.
Sean,
And
let
is
me-
there anything from his rookie season injury you can take from, you know, how you handle if he wants to get back out there and if he's not ready? Just were there any learning lessons from that?
Well, I think you always learn from experience and history. As a great teacher. So, you know, I think there's some things you can learn from, not specific necessarily to the injury, but just overall how a player handles things and how they respond to the bumps and bruises of the game from time to time.
I would ask you more generally then, and maybe the answer to this question is obvious, but I'd still love to hear your take on it. I mean, do you have a sense that, based on what we've been able to learn about the nature of this injury and that sort of thing, I mean, could this have been far worse, given the, you know, on the more severe end of this type of injury? Did he get out? Was he lucky in a sense, I guess, that it's a day-to-day situation?
I don't know. I mean, it could all injuries that these guys with all these other guys as well that are day to day, they could always be worse, right? So there's take it with that, you know, with a grain of salt, just in terms of, yeah, things could always be worse, right? So, you know, we'll just again see where it goes.
Sean, regardless who plays quarterback, how important is it to lean on your run game, maybe a little more, at least get more production out of your run game, other than the quarterback running the football?
Yeah, I know where you're going with that, Sal. Yes, I mean, overall, you know, you really don't want to have that show up on the stat sheet like it did this past week, Josh being the number one rusher and then also throwing like he did. And so everything in balance, everything in moderation is important.
John, can you explain what we mean by Trey White being day-to-day? Because he had 3 healthy practices last week, not on the injury report, didn't play. Is there an injury status with him now or something like that?
No setback, no new information, but I know that that's asked about, and I said that last week with Trey also. He was day-to-day in terms of his week preparation and then his status for the game.
Coach, forgive me if I missed it. Milano, is he good to practice?
He's good to practice, yeah.
Sean, in a situation like this, what are the benefits of having the relationships that the quarterbacks do with each other?
Yeah, very, very beneficial. And that's where that room is, the chemistry of that room, Maddie, is so important, right? With who you have in that room, the types of people, their rapport with one another, their rapport with the coaching staff, continuity as well. Case is new this season, but Matt's been around, and Case is very experienced and has a lot of great feel for the position. Growing up in the family, grew up in number 1, being coached there by his dad, and then also just his experience in the NFL.
Sean, it seems like it's kind of rare that a trade works out for both teams, but with Steph Diggs, Justin Jefferson, it sure seems like that did work out for both sides. Looking back at that trade as it was kind of coming down, do you remember kind of the thoughts and feelings you were going through, and how happy are you the way it has kind of played out?
Yeah, I mean, I think you made a good point. I think both teams are rather happy and pleased with the way it worked out, and I would speak for us that we're certainly happy in the way it's worked out, and obviously they got a great receiver as well. So, you know, Steph has been great for us, and he just adds so much to our football team and the way he plays, the way he approaches the game, and his leadership for our football team.
Early in the week, but how have you seen Stefon handling this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like every week, he prepares himself to play at a high level, and he's done that to this point in the week. It's early, obviously, but, I expect the same from him this week, and so do his teammates.
What sort of growth have you seen from him the most in terms of day one comes into the building to where we are years later?
In terms of Steph? Yeah, definite growth on the field, off the field, and that's part of coaching. That's the joy of coaching, is watching people develop and grow every year, grow every week in this case, and just been very impressed by his growth, development on the field, the way he handles things, and the great part about Steph is he still knows how to flip the switch, and he has that very aggressive mindset when he's on the field.
Sean, you always talk about controlling what you can control. In regards to Josh's injury, is that, not that it's a distraction, but you have to take a step back with all the other things going on because you're thinking about Josh and refocusing back on a 7-1 Vikings team that's pretty talented too?
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge. Part of the challenge is, as most head coaches around the league, not just myself, would say that's part of the job, right? And so you've got to find a way to manage your time and make sure you keep, things in proper order. So, 7-1 team. They've only lost one game, and that was to the Eagles earlier in the year. Good football team. They do a great job taking the football away, and I believe they're well coached. I know their coaching staff is new, but I have a lot of respect for Coach and what he's done there, and I think they got a good staff overall.
I know you preach playing 60 minutes all the time, but this team is very good in the fourth quarter. They've come back a lot.
Yeah.
How important is that this week to make sure that everyone understands it's a 60-minute football game?
Right, they've won a lot of close games. Again, mentioning taking the ball away, and they've won a lot of close games, and that's hard to do. They've only lost once, as I said, a good football team. So we've got to obviously have a good week of practice and be on our A game this weekend. And it'll be nice to be home in front of our fans and our crowd, and getting that 12th man involved.
Have you been able to keep up with Harrison Phillips at all? His organization is still pretty active in the Western New York community. And your impressions looking at them on film, how he's done this year with?
Yeah, he's played at a high level. And Harry's, he'll always be a guy that I keep track of and stay in touch with. And obviously it's tougher during the season, but we've exchanged a text or two. He looks like he's doing extremely well. And he's just, when you meet good people along the journey in life, it's just, it sticks with you. And that's part of the job, right, that you just come across different people. Harrison's a true class act, and the mark he left on our community, as you guys know, as you referenced, is significant, and we have a lot of respect for him.
How important is it to get more production out of receivers not named Diggs? You suggested that after the last game.
Yeah, it's very important, right? Like I mentioned, Jerry, everything in moderation. So we've got to make sure that we're spreading the ball around and everyone's involved. And I think when you have that, you're a little bit harder to defend, and people stay engaged. And so it's all about just continue to develop our roster, develop our football team, and in this case, the offense.
Is this situation complicated, the whole Josh Allen situation?
We'll see. Like I said, I mean, it's to me just focusing on developing a well-rounded plan is, yes, it's synced, but it's also a little bit separate.
Last year, it sounded like a lot of, when Mitch Trubisky was back up, it sounded like a lot of his day-to-day was getting the defense ready, studying the opposing quarterback to help them. How similar is that to what Case has been doing this year? Just in, being ready for if he is to go in, but also preparing the defense. What's that split kind of like during practice?
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you find usually with some of the more veteran backups, if you will. They like doing the scout team because it prepares them as well to stay sharp and go through progressional reads and see a rush coming at them and practicing basically against our number one defense, our starting defense. So that's what I've found, and Case in this case has been similar. So you'll see Case practicing against our defense, and then he'll throw a ball and he'll finish by sprinting down the field, and he knows what he needs to do to get himself ready physically, mentally, and spiritually. So that's a pro at work right there.
How do you coach to try to correct or improve the challenges you guys have had with turnovers this year?
You know, we talk about it a lot. We work on it a lot in practice, and I think in some ways, maybe not in all ways, it has improved. Early on in the year, we were losing more fumbles, probably so than we're losing current or recently. Recently, it's been more of the interceptions, so we definitely acknowledge it. We don't hide it. I think that's the first step to getting anything corrected is the acknowledgement of the issue, and then continue to reinforce the fundamental and making good, sound football decisions. So, you know, it's not an easy thing, but it's something we've shown that we can do before, and I think it's necessary that we get it fixed.
Where would you say Nyheim Hines is at in terms of picking up the offense, and would you see him maybe getting a larger role this week?
We'll see. You know, he mentioned to me the other day about the language of the offensive playbook, and you know, different systems have different terminology, and that takes some time on certain occasions. So, but we have full confidence in Nyheim, and he got a few plays the other day. So we'll just have to see where it goes this week.
What was the reason for Dan McKenzie's snaps in relationship to the Shakir snaps kind of widening from what they were the week before?
Yeah, just the way the game was ebbing and flowing. And so we'll just see where that goes as we move forward. And full confidence in both of those guys, and it'll be a week-to-week type of thing.
Without your top two guys, what have you seen from your two depth safeties? And how do you see Dean Marlowe maybe working his way into that conversation this week and moving forward?
Yeah, you know, we'll see where it goes with Jordan this week. Obviously, Mike has been out and will be out. You know, when we look at the situation and Dean's role in that, you know, he has a role in that. It's just, you know, when is that going to come? Is it going to come this week or down the road? We'll see. And certainly full confidence in Dean and his. You know, last week was really. Remember, he was out to two different teams, one being Detroit, the other one being Atlanta. So being in those two systems, then coming back, in fairness to him, he'd only been here 3-4 days, and then the game was upon him. So just really using last week to knock the rust off and repolish the terminology more than anything.
How about the performance of DeMar Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson this past week?
Yeah, I thought as two young safeties, I thought there was some good moments, and then some moments that I know they both went back, and that's going to happen. But the important piece is that we continue to grow and develop and continue to hone our fundamentals, where their eyes are, what their feet are doing, so that they become a true 111th part of our defense. Guys good? All right, thank you.